I am.
You're hilarious. And you're going down.
Where's Zuko? That's the question Avatar fans have been asking since Legend of Korra first aired. After one of the most iconic character journeys in animation history, the former Fire Nation prince was reduced to just a few minutes of screen time across the entire sequel series. His absence left fans feeling like a crucial piece was missing from the Avatar puzzle, a character who meant so much to so many people. But what if I told you that keeping Zuko mostly off screen wasn't a misstep, but the perfect ending to his story? Today we're exploring why his limited role in Legend of Korra wasn't a missed opportunity, but instead honored everything his character stood for. By the end, you might see both series in a completely different light. Remember when Zuko finally redirected lightning from his father and helped Aang defeat the Fire Nation? But what if that moment wasn't just the climax of his journey, but actually the perfect conclusion to his entire character arc? When we really examine Zuko's story, it becomes clear that Avatar, The Last Airbender, gave him one of the most satisfying and complete character arcs in animation history. A transformation from confused, angry prince to honorable leader that didn't need any further exploration. In Legend of Korra, Zuko's journey centered on finding his path and restoring his honor. From the beginning, we watched his struggle as a banished prince torn between his father's teachings and his own moral compass. The finale resolves every internal conflict that defined him. He confronted Ozai, chose his destiny, helped end the war, and reconciled with Uncle Iroh. These victories weren't separate achievements, but interconnected parts of his transformation. The coronation scene provides perfect closure. When Zuko kneels to be crowned Fire Lord, his friends surrounding him and Iroh's eyes glistening with tears of pride, we see the symbolic completion of his redemption. The gentle placement of the crown on his head represents the restoration of honor on his own terms. The power of this moment lies in how it contrasts with his earlier obsession. He achieved his position by helping the Avatar instead of capturing him. His declaration to restore the honor of the Fire Nation shifts his focus from personal redemption to national responsibility. This statement works as a perfect bookend because it tells us his new purpose while leaving room for our imagination. The writers gave us exactly what we needed, enough understanding of his future without showing every detail. Watch how the prison scene with Ozai closes another chapter. When Zuko walks away after asking about his mother, his straight posture and unwavering gaze show he's broken free from seeking Ozai's approval. This quiet moment of strength reveals more about his growth than any sequel could. Even his relationship with Mai finds resolution, their reconciliation sealed with that tender embrace as she whispers, "Don't ever break up with me again," gives emotional closure without detailing their entire future together. Bringing Zuko back as a major character in Legend of Korra would have risked undermining this perfect resolution. Any new internal conflicts would have felt manufactured after watching him overcome his deepest struggles. His character arc was complete, balanced like the elements themselves, with nothing more needed to understand the man he had become. Fire Lord Zuko mastered his internal demons, but the world of Legend of Korra faced threats no firebending or personal growth could solve. 70 years after Aang's victory, the Avatar universe transformed from a story about finding yourself to one questioning the very foundations of society. Industrialization, equality, tradition versus progress. Conflicts that made even the most powerful benders from the original series seem almost irrelevant in this new reality. When you look at Republic City with its skyscrapers, Satomobiles, and radio broadcasts, it becomes clear this isn't the same world where Zuko once sailed his ship hunting the Avatar. Legend of Korra's setting is essentially unrecognizable, a vibrant metropolis where benders and non-benders live side by side, where technology sometimes rivals bending itself, and where the spiritual connections that defined the original series have become distant memories for many citizens. This radical shift in setting demanded an equally radical shift in storytelling. What would Zuko even do in a world where the problems aren't settled by Agni Kai duels, but through political maneuvering, public opinion, and technological warfare? The issues Korra faces aren't about mastering the four elements or defeating a single tyrant. They're about navigating a complex world where everyone believes their cause is just. Think about each villain Korra faces. Amon wasn't simply evil. He represented equality for the oppressed non-bender population. Unalak sought spiritual reconnection in an increasingly materialistic world. world. Zahir championed freedom from corrupt governments. Kuvira brought order and protection to vulnerable citizens. These antagonists present ideological challenges that can't be overcome through personal growth or firebending mastery. The Avatar's role itself transformed completely. While Aang struggled with accepting his responsibilities, Korra began fully confident in her bending abilities, but struggled with her relevance in a modernizing world. The fundamental question shifted from, how do I become the Avatar, to what does the world need from the Avatar when traditional roles are becoming obsolete? Even bending transformed from sacred connection to ancient spirits into commercialized entertainment in pro-bending arenas and industrial tools in power plants. This shift represents a world where the core spiritual practices have been reshaped by modernization. Like ancient buildings dwarfed by new skyscrapers, traditional bending found itself overshadowed by progress. When legacy characters appear in Korra, they serve specific purposes. As mentors or embodiments of history, they're not there to solve modern problems because those challenges belong to a new generation. This approach respects that characters like Zuko completed their personal journeys, allowing new heroes to establish themselves while facing fundamentally different challenges. Those brief mentor appearances by legacy characters hide a much deeper truth about Zuko's role in Legend of Korra. Have you ever noticed how a person's greatest impact often comes not from what they're doing now, but from what they built decades ago? The Korra we meet navigates a world fundamentally shaped by decisions Zuko made long before she was born. Republic City itself stands as the most visible monument to Zuko's legacy. What began as a Fire Nation colony transformed through his partnership with Aang into the world's first truly multicultural metropolis. Every time we see those skyscrapers against mountain backdrops, or the council chambers where representatives from all nations gather, like when Tenzin and the others debate during the Equalist crisis, we're witnessing the physical manifestation of Zuko's commitment to peace. The city exists because of his willingness to surrender Fire Nation territory for a greater vision. The Fire Nation during Korra's time shows an equally profound transformation. Once the world's feared aggressor, it evolved into perhaps the most stable nation in the Avatar world. Fire Lord Azumi's response when President Raiko tries convincing her to join the fight against Kuvira demonstrates this change. Her measured words about not rushing into war reflect the values Zuko instilled in both his daughter and his nation, like seeds planted decades ago that have now fully blossomed into a peaceful ideology. Zuko's legacy extends beyond political structures into the cultural fabric of Korra's world. The pro-bending arena where different bending styles clash and combine, the fashion blending elements from all nations, even the music Korra encounters at places like Naruk's Noodle Shop, all would have been unthinkable in the segregated world of the original series. These cultural bridges required decades of careful cultivation between formerly hostile peoples. The reformed White Lotus operates as another branch from the same root of Zuko's influence. Once a secretive society, by Korra's time they function openly as guardians of balance. Similar to Zuko's own journey from hidden rebel to public leader, we see them maintaining order at diplomatic functions and protecting the Avatar, fulfilling a role that evolved from Iroh's original vision with Zuko's practical implementation. Even the metal-bending police guarding Republic City connects to this legacy tapestry. While Toph invented the technique, establishing it as a peacekeeping force required political infrastructure that leaders like Zuko would have supported during those formative decades. The organized, disciplined force led by Lin Beifong couldn't exist without the stable foundation Zuko helped create. Just when you think you understand Zuko's impact through what he built, the show finally reveals the man himself. Now 87 years old and somehow still riding a dragon. The creators chose to give us only glimpses of elderly Zuko, but these moments are carefully crafted windows into a life well lived that tell us more through their brevity than entire episodes devoted to his story ever could. When elderly Zuko makes his first appearance in Legend of Korra, he arrives dramatically on Druk to warn about the escape of Zahir and other dangerous criminals. This entrance speaks volumes. At 87, he commands a dragon, something once thought extinct, suggesting that in those unseen decades he dedicated himself to preserving ancient traditions nearly lost during the 100-Year War. Druk's existence hints at Zuko's work with Aang to restore balance to a world recovering from Fire Nation imperialism. What's fascinating is the deference shown to him. Officials and world leaders alike listen without question when he speaks, revealing his leadership was transformative enough to earn universal respect across once divided nations. This silent acknowledgement by characters who never knew young Zuko tells us everything about his reign without a single flashback. In battle, Zuko's bending is like a well-worn but perfectly maintained blade. His His techniques combine traditional Fire Nation forms with Water Tribe redirection, Earth Kingdom stance work, and Air Nomad circular movements. His fighting style has matured like fine wine, blending the best elements from all nations into something uniquely his own. The reunion with Toph reveals depths of their lifelong friendship through subtle interactions. "I see you're still keeping up with these youngsters," she remarks with a knowing smile, as Zuko responds with comfortable familiarity that bridges decades of shared history. Their easy rapport shows that despite responsibilities pulling them in different directions, he never abandoned the connections that once saved him from his father's toxic influence. Zuko's dialogue carries neither the impulsivity of youth nor the cynicism of old age. Instead, his words flow with measured wisdom and calm determination, evidence of a man who continued growing long after his crowning moment. His concern for balance rather than dominance demonstrates his evolution from nationalist prince to global guardian. These brief appearances serve as the perfect epilogue by showing elderly Zuko still embodying the values he fought for in his youth, proving his transformation wasn't temporary, but a genuine lifelong commitment to honor, balance, and progress. Those carefully crafted glimpses of elderly Zuko weren't just about honoring his past, they were strategic creative choices that protected both shows. Have you ever noticed how sequels that bring back too many original characters often end up damaging the very legacy they're trying to celebrate? The Avatar creators understood a storytelling principle that even Hollywood's biggest franchises frequently get wrong. When creating Legend of Korra, the creative team faced a delicate balancing act that most sequel series struggle with. They needed to acknowledge the beloved world and characters from Avatar, The Last Airbender, while establishing Korra as its own unique story. This is where most sequels fail. They either overuse nostalgia or abandon what made the original special. Look at Star Wars sequels with Luke, Leia, and Han. The franchise struggled to balance their presence without overshadowing Rey, Finn, and the new generation. The original heroes became shadows of their former selves, making decisions that contradicted their established character arcs just to prop up new protagonists. But the Avatar creators took a different approach, making legacy characters like Zuko into guardians of history who watch over the new narrative without dominating it. By keeping Zuko mostly off-screen, they avoided diminishing a previously powerful character. When he finally arrives on his dragon in Book 3, that moment carries tremendous emotional weight precisely because we've waited so long to see him in action. His appearance feels like a rare gift rather than an expected cameo. If he had appeared in every other episode, would his entrance have felt so impactful? Would we have cheered so loudly? This limited approach also freed the writers from explaining every detail of what happened during those 70 years between series. The mystery surrounding the intervening years expanded the Avatar universe rather than constraining it. Fans get to wonder about what happened to characters like Sokka, Suki, and Ty Lee. Did Mai and Zuko stay together? How did Izumi's childhood unfold? Sometimes what's left unsaid creates more engaging storytelling possibilities than spelling everything out. The same principle applies to Katara, Toph, and the glimpses we get of Aang through flashbacks. Each appearance feels like an event because of its scarcity. These moments are treasures, not routine occurrences. There's also a beautiful reciprocity in how this approach strengthened both series. By allowing Korra to establish its own identity without constantly leaning on its predecessor, both shows stand as complete artistic statements rather than one overshadowing the other. The restraint in featuring legacy characters demonstrated remarkable confidence in their new story and characters. So as we've journeyed through Zuko's absence in Legend of Korra, what we've discovered isn't a storytelling flaw, but actually a masterful creative decision. When a character's journey reaches such perfect completion, forcing them back into the spotlight would only diminish what made them special in the first place. Zuko's legacy stands as the architect of peace, his blueprints allowing new heroes to emerge. The peaceful world Korra inherited, diplomatic solutions replacing warfare, cultural integration across nations. These achievements speak through every frame without his physical presence. The greatest honor for our heroes isn't watching them fight forever, but seeing their world flourish under new guardians. Zuko found what he searched for throughout Avatar: personal honor and a better world where new stories could unfold. What do you think about Zuko's legacy? Did the creators make the right choice by letting new heroes shine in the world he helped build?